next thing I know, a doctor's coming in and they're like, hey, we need to take baby today. Hey y'all, this is Lyssah with Mama Wears Many Hats, and today I am updating you on where we've been for the last 2 weeks. Hey guys, this is Lyssah with Mama Wears Many Hats, and for those of you who are new, welcome. This channel is about all things motherhood, even the hard and crappy stuff. Up until recently, I was documenting my plus-size geriatric pregnancy, which very quickly became documenting my unexpectedly high-risk pregnancy, which has now become documenting our NICU journey. So I think the last update I had on here was when I was inpatient at the hospital. For those of you who don't know, I was pregnant with my 4th child, and I was just shy of 25 weeks pregnant. I was 24 and 6 days, I think, technically. And I had found out about 2 weeks prior that we were entering the high-risk world. My baby did not have enough amniotic fluid. I totally didn't even deal with it long enough to learn how to say the crazy name. But basically, when your body doesn't produce enough amniotic fluid, and then the placenta was not getting the baby what she needed. So then the placenta decided to turn on me, and I ended up with preeclampsia. And because of the situation with the high-risk pregnancy, I was put on bed rest in the hospital at 24 weeks and 6 days. Our goal was to make it to 26 weeks, and then after that, 28 weeks, and to really just try and ride it out as long as possible. The way my high-risk doctor put it was, we are going to try and keep baby in until it is safer for her to be out. So that's where we were. I had done a week inpatient on bed rest unexpectedly, because like I said, I went in, I was having high blood pressure, turned out it was preeclampsia, all that kind of stuff. And they checked me in and they're like, you're here till baby comes. And so I was digging in. I was ready to be there for a long time. And then Saturday morning, a week and 1 day after I checked in, the nurses came in and they were doing the routine non-stress test. I was like, what was it called? Just checking baby's heartbeat. And after about 20 minutes, baby was having a lot of decelerations, and the nurse came in and said, we're gonna have you roll over. We're not liking how baby is looking, just so you know. And then the next thing I know, a doctor's coming in and they're like, hey, we need to take baby today. And I was laying in the room by myself. Cameron was actually taking some time and going to a men's breakfast at our church, just to get a little bit of a break from the hospital, because he'd been with me and he'd been with the kids, and he had spent the night with the kids at his parents' house the night before, and I was alone in the hospital. And so I just remember bawling. I can't tell you a whole lot else what happened, but I just remember crying because I felt like such a failure. Like, I hadn't been able to keep her in. I hadn't, nothing I'd done mattered, and she was still having to come early. And on top of that, I was gonna be going in for a C-section, which terrified me. I'd had 3 vaginal births before. I'd never had surgery in my life. The closest thing to having surgery was when I was 4. I split my chin open and I had to have a couple stitches. Or like, when you get sewed up after a regular delivery. And I say regular, not meaning C-sections aren't regular. I say regular meaning vaginal. And so the doctor comes in, they explain, we're gonna be taking you in. It was somewhere between an emergency C-section and not quite an emergency C-section, because technically I believe an emergency C-section is something that is defined as basically like, it's like 0 to 10 minutes or 0 to 30 minutes from we need to have this and baby is out. Thankfully we had enough time. They started me on magnesium to give baby the best possible chance they could. So they ran that through while they were prepping me for surgery. I called Cam in tears, and I said, you need to get to the hospital. They're gonna be taking me in for a C-section, and they're gonna be taking the baby. And so he got there, I called my parents. I am literally like laying in the bed crying as they're prepping me and just trying to get calm and just thinking like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. I can't believe they're taking me in, because like I felt normal. I didn't feel bad. And that was like one of the weirdest things. It wasn't like I was bleeding. It wasn't like I was leaking water. It was so mentally hard to like wrap my brain around, because I, like the whole time I'd felt fine. You know what I mean? Even as I'm in the hospital, I didn't feel, I'd tell my nurses, I feel like I'm faking being sick. Like I convinced my mom that she should let me stay home from school and I'm not really sick. But that wasn't the case. So they wheel me in, Cam got there, they take me in, they did a spinal, which is, I guess, kind of a step above an epidural. It numbs you a little more and it's a little more thorough. And I just remember being so terrified. Like, I'm in there, they have you sit on the surgery table, they have you lean over. My husband, Cameron, couldn't be in there while I was getting the spinal. He wasn't allowed to come in until everything was prepped for surgery. The NICU team is coming in and getting everything ready for the baby. I'm just sitting there being like, I don't know what's gonna, like, this is crazy. It's all happening so fast. From the time they told me I was going to have surgery to the time when baby was born and I was done was about 2 hours. So Cam comes in, he's sitting with me. They do this spinal, which took effect. And I'm just gonna say this for anyone who's afraid of having a C-section, because I was terrified. I heard a lot of people talking about pressure, all that kind of stuff. And let me just say, I don't know if my experience was a normal experience, because my baby was so small, okay? But the pressure I felt, it really almost felt like if someone, like, you know how like you've ever been on a waterbed and you push the bed? That's how it felt. Like I could feel people pushing my stomach around, and it felt kind of like a waterbed, but it didn't, like, it felt like me, but it didn't feel like me. So it wasn't, I was afraid it was gonna feel a lot different, and it really wasn't bad, except for the fact that you're like sitting there going, I know they're cutting me open, they're about to pull my baby out. So from the time they started to the time baby was out was about 7 minutes. At first the doctor had told me they were going to have to do a classical C-section, which is an up and down cut, because of how small baby was, but they were actually able to do a horizontal cut, which I guess is better for healing and better for if you want to have another baby, which I can safely say after this experience, I will not be having any more babies. We are done. So they got the baby out and we didn't hear anything, but we're also thinking, you know, she's 25 weeks, like we may not hear anything. And they hurried over with her to the little thing, and I don't know why, and I will never know why. I mean, I guess maybe if you're having a normal C-section, it's cool, but when you're delivering a preemie, they have like, so my head's here, surgery's happening behind the blue veil, and for some reason they've got the little NICU stationed right over here in my line of sight, where we have just delivered our 25-week baby, and we see them rush over there with her. We have no idea what's going on. And then after a few minutes, it seemed like forever. I couldn't even hardly, I was alternating between crying and not crying, just being kind of numb. And they invited my husband over to see her. And so he went over. I'll go ahead and put in, he has a very little video clip, and I'll put that in here. And then they brought her over to me very quickly to see. And she was alive. They told us she came out kicking, so she was not screaming, but she was kicking. And this, we learned, would be something that was very normal for our baby girl, because everyone in the NICU says she is feisty because she is constantly kicking, hitting, and doing all that kind of stuff. So anyways, they take her away, they finish on me, sewing me up, and then they do this whole like transfer from the OR table to the bed. They're gonna roll me back into my room and it was so weird because I got rolled back into the same room that I'd been in prior to the surgery. And emotionally, it was the most bizarre thing ever, because when I left that room, I had a baby inside me. And when I came back to that room, there was no baby inside me, and I didn't have a baby with me. They gave Cameron the option to go up to the NICU or to stay with me. He stayed with me in the beginning because we just didn't know what was going to be happening. And I'll be honest, I mean, he and I haven't even talked through that yet. I don't think either of us wanted to face the potential of her not being okay alone. So he stayed with me, and we just trusted them with her because obviously there was nothing we were going to be able to do for her. So they took her away. I was, recovering in my room. My nurse was the same nurse who had said, hey, we're going to go take the baby. She was my recovery nurse, and she was amazing. And she was in there with me for 2 hours in my room while we were just making sure everything was wearing off, the anesthesia, all that kind of stuff. I had to wait until I could stand up enough to get into a wheelchair to go and see the baby. And I want to say that happened around 6 or 7. Funny story, we joke because all of our kids have come between 11 and 12 p.m. and baby girl was no different. She decided to come at 11:27. That's when they delivered her. And so she'd been in the NICU since just shortly after 11:30, and around 6:30 or 7, I think, is when we actually got to get upstairs to go see her for the first time. And she was in a room. I got nervous because it was like an isolated room, and then it turned out that was actually just the only room they had available at the time. And we talked to her nurse, who her name was Megan. And by the time we got up there, she had already made a little picture, I'll put it here, that said just a small fry, and it had her weight. So our baby was born at 25 weeks and 6 days, weighing 1 pound, 2 ounces, and 10.5 inches long. So on August 21st, 2021, we started day 1 of our NICU journey. We are here, our second day in the NICU. We are visiting Jubilee. As far as we know, she's been doing good. She is getting her Billy Light treatment right now to help with jaundice, which is really common in preemies, and I can only assume super common in early preemies. We have a little bit of quiet in here. Her nurse is at lunch, so we're just hanging out with her. Obviously, you can't really look at her right now because they got her covered up. I'll get a shot of that in a second. But yeah, here's to day 2 of our NICU stay. It's been kind of an emotional day and night leading up to this. We got to see her last night, which probably will have been before this clip. I'll steal Cameron's clip from it. But yeah, let me give you a shot. Here's Daddy.
That's a good picture.
And here's Juju getting her treatment. I get nervous every time this little thing goes off.
I wonder if she hears us, and maybe that's why heart rate is up a little bit. I mean, I don't know how well, she could hear.
Her heart rate is the top one.
Mm-hmm.
It's 147. Not sure what the 93 is, I forget. I explained it last night. So everything seems to be doing okay. It's really cute. There's a little sign over there. It This is just a small fry, and it has her birthday, August 21st, 2021.
Oh, that was in there yesterday, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh, it was?
And something's going off. It went off just a minute ago too. Doesn't like when it hits 1.6 for very long. It's playing back up. Cam's getting a picture. And then the other one just has a little information about her. So I want to hang up just because we got some alarms going on. As of recording this, today is September 6th, and it is day 16, I think, of our NICU journey. Our little girl she did amazing the first week. Like, there were times when she's on the ventilator, she's intubated, but there were times when she was as low as like low 30s, and the oxygen we breathe is 22, so she was like super close to like even being able to breathe on her own. And you know, she was doing good. She had one thing that they are nervous about with preemies is brain bleeds. So at 7 days of life, she had a head ultrasound and she has no brain bleeds, which is huge. She started on mother's milk and they just kept amping her up, and so we were like, wow, she's doing like amazing, she's gonna kill it, like she's gonna get to go home way sooner than anyone expects, because they told us to expect that she'll be there until at least her due date, which is November 28th.
She is the sweetest girl. She is so cute.
Sorry.
I mean, I'm getting misty-eyed. You're fine.
Turn it where we can see the diamonds, okay?
Oh my.
You're first wearing diamonds, sweet baby. Yeah.
Your big sister hasn't
Yeah.
even gotten to do
Oh
that yet.
my gosh. That's amazing.
Sorry. Thank you.
You don't have to apologize. I did not think we would get to see your pretty little eyes prior to leaving today, but that is such a bonus. Look, you look so chill and comf too. Looks like you're trying to suck that thumb or something.
Here's a tissue just if you want it, darling. Oh my gosh. Sorry, this is the most we've gotten to see her because she's had the hat on and then she's got the black things on her face, and
Her feet are covered. I see that. So yeah, they changed some things around. Looks like you knocked some cords and tubes off again, because I see that they re-taped them.
Yep.
Yes, keep fighting. Keep fighting, little one.
Just don't fight what's supposed to help you.
Yes, that is true. You have to know your help. Oh, there they go. Closed again. Yep, you sleep. You get those. You log those Z's, Juju. Log those Z's.
I'm gonna get ready and start pumping.
Sounds.
Then on Sunday afterwards, so we had Saturday, Sunday, full week. So she had a week in the NICU, and on Sunday, everything just kind of bottomed out. And she went from doing good, which we learned later on when nurses in the NICU tell you that your baby's doing good, it means she's stable. That means that there's no decline, and that is good. Of course, as parents, we hear, oh, she's doing good. We're thinking she's thriving, she's kicking butt, like this is going great. And we didn't realize what our version of good was versus what a NICU nurse or a doctor's version of good was. So we got a call, our first call from the NICU, and they're like, you know, we don't know exactly what's wrong. She may have an infection. She's not breathing like she needs to. We're moving her to an oscillator. So to give you a little bit of perspective, there's different types of breathing assistance in the NICU or in the hospital in general. There is the highest step is an oscillator, which basically gives your lungs so many breaths per minute that it keeps them open, like 1,200 breaths per minute. And step down from that is a ventilator. When she first came out, she started on a ventilator and she was on 40 breaths per minute. And then anything over that, she was doing on her own. So then after, step down from that is like a CPAP machine. And then step down from that is a canella, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but the one that goes into your nose. And then there's low flow oxygen, and then there's on your own. So they had to move her up to an oscillator. She's been on an oscillator for the past week and some change, but they are starting to dial down her settings on that. They put her on nitrous oxide to help oxygenate, there we go, I can never say that word, oxygenate her blood. She wasn't peeing, they put her on dopamine. There's just a lot of stuff they had to do. They put her on 2 different kinds of antibiotics, they stopped milk, and we just were like, we don't know, you know, it seems like, you know, so Sunday was really rough. We didn't know what was going to happen. We finally got the call that, hey, she's stable. You know, she'll make it through the night. We're, you know, take a breath. And that's, I think, when we both realized, like, oh crap, like, this is real. Like, we're on this journey that we don't know what one day after another holds. So I want to say about 2 days later, because we had decided that day that that was the first day we weren't going in after I got released, which, can I just say, being a mom and being in the hospital and having a baby and having to leave the hospital without your baby is something no one should ever have to go through. And my heart goes out to any mom who's had to do that, because like, I still to this day can't even make it make sense in my head. So I had pushed it too far, recovering from my C-section, all that kind of stuff. I had done too much on Saturday, and so we had decided on Sunday we weren't going to go in, and then all this stuff happened. And yeah, so when we finally got back in there, that I think it was Tuesday that I got in there, and she'd been holding steady and stable, and we knew we were calling and getting constant updates. And I talked to her doctor, and I was thinking, you know, he was talking about weaning her and weaning the nitrous and doing these things, and I go, so that's good, right? And he looks at me and he's like, your baby is very sick, and this could go either way. And I was just like, because it was the first time anyone had said anything about her chances for survival. To this day, still no one has told us, like, oh, she has this percentage of surviving, and we're literally just taking everything day by day. And I'm kind of glad. I don't think I want anyone to tell me, like, oh, we think her percentage is this. But through all this, we've been so incredibly grateful that we have such an amazing support team, through family members, through friends, through people that we know in ministry. We're connected to so many people, and so it has been so encouraging to know that, like, as soon as we got the report that she was declining, like, we were able to send out a mass, like, hey, everyone, please be praying for Jubilee, and this is what to pray for. And we know that people, like, all over the world are praying for her. It's been the most amazing thing to watch and see people who we don't even know who are commenting on our Facebook updates and telling us they're praying for her, and moms that are telling us their kids pray for her every day and look for the updates and love seeing her pictures. And it's just been super, like, it's just been crazy. I'm sorry if this is all over the place. I literally decided to do this update because I didn't want to not document it. And I'm hoping that as she continues to be stable and as I continue to have a little bit more mental bandwidth, I do want to document our journey through the NICU, because it's a lot and there's not a lot of resources out there by moms, like for moms. And I get why, because at first I was like, well, I'm going to document this. And then now it's been over 2 weeks and I haven't done anything because I haven't had anything to spare for it, if that makes any sense. Like, between pumping and trying to get my milk to come in to be able to get her milk, to going and being with her and balancing that and being home with the kids and trying to make sure things are getting done and not being able to do anything because I'm recovering from surgery. Like, it has been, like, what you're getting right now is the completely emotionally drained Lyssah. That's all, like, I don't even know how to say it. Like, that's what it is. So current update is she's doing good, in the NICU sense of the word. They've weaned her off of her nitrous oxide. She's back on milk, not nearly as much as she was, but they're working her back up. They've started lowering her settings on the oscillator, which is good. She's still on dopamine for peeing, because every time they start to back it off, she's not peeing as much as she should be. But yeah, that's where we are. She's gained some weight. The last time we were told her weight was she was 1 pound, 5.5 ounces, which is huge, especially considering the first week she didn't really gain anything, because any moms know that when you have your baby, they lose some weight and they gain it back. And thankfully during that, she only lost 10 grams. That's another weird thing about this NICU journey, is I used to think in ounces and pounds, and now I'm thinking in grams. Yeah, so I know this is kind of all over the place, and maybe after we're at the end of this, I'll come and do like a here's our birth story, but it's not, it's one of the weirdest things, because for every other birth story we've had, we had a plan, and we went in, and there was labor and there was time, and you were able to kind of mentally prepare. Not only did you have your whole pregnancy to get ready for it, but then you had that time that you were working towards bringing baby in, and to literally like the thing I'm mentally trying to come to terms with is feeling robbed of the last half of my pregnancy, and knowing that, like, when I see her kicking, which I love seeing her do well, and I love seeing her be strong. But when I look at her kicking and I realize that that should have been happening inside of me, and she should have been growing and getting stronger and safe inside of me, and then realizing that that wasn't an option anymore, and she wasn't going to be growing and getting strong inside of me anymore, and feeling like she was robbed of that. It's a lot to process. But we're just so grateful that she's okay, and that she is fighting. I didn't know what it was to have, my brother was preemie by 9 weeks. I'd heard the term micro preemie, and I never thought we would be the parents of a micro preemie. I didn't know babies that were 1 pound, 2 ounces could live. It's just, it is mind-blowing. And it's really funny to think that you walk through something like this, and there have been times when I felt my heart kind of get angry towards God. And then in the very next minute, it's like I can't be, because it's just so mind-blowing to see what something so small can do, and how she can fight and survive. So as of this, like I said, she's 16 days old. She's had 3 blood transfusions, because apparently when you're only 1 pound and 2 ounces, you only are born with about 1.5 ounces of blood in you. And when they're taking those things to run tests, they have to put more in you. So she's had 3 blood transfusions. She is doing well. She's back on milk, like I said. She opens her eyes.
Oh, hi, baby. Hi, sweet girl. How are you? Yeah. Yeah. What you doing? Yeah. Your big brother Caden says hi. Yes, he does. And your sister Everly. And your big brother Milo. They love you so much. We all miss you and can't wait for you to come home. We want you to be big and strong, okay? Big yawn. Big yawn. Okay. You're doing so good, baby. You're doing so good. Yes, you are. Yes. Oh, I love you. I love you. Oh, what a big girl you are. That big little girl. Big little girl. Alright, it's time to get some rest, okay? Time to get some rest.
I've gotten the chance to change her diaper.
We're just going to pick her little hips up. We're not going to pull her all the way up, so slide that under there. We're just not going to pull her up quite as high as you would a bigger baby. All right? These little Velcros want to stick real easily.
Man, real diapers like this. Okay, and then are we doing the same thing with the hips?
Yeah, just lift the hips up a little bit, and we'll
She's
just
gonna help me apparently.
Yeah, she's like, Mom, look. If you just want to wipe her just to freshen her a little bit, I'll give you. Sorry, Dad.
That's okay.
There you go.
Don't worry at all. I'm just kind of admiring how the hands just naturally go down there.
Yes, as I'm sure y'all had experience with,
Oh,
right?
For real.
I know, it doesn't matter their age or how big they are. You're not going to hurt her, Mama.
I'm not. Well, I just get
Yep,
nervous about her
you're
skin. You guys
good.
are like,
You're good.
Her
She's
skin.
doing great, though. She's doing great. And we're going to turn this down
okay, turn
just
it.
to make
Oh,
sure her
make it,
belly
yep.
button can stay out and not get wet. There you go. Great. Perfect. Yep. Lovely.
Good job, Juju. Good job, Mama.
Yay.
First diaper change.
High five.
That is the smallest.
Is it wet? It is. Is it?
I'm going to go weigh it just
looks
to see.
like it's a little wet.
It does look like a little wet. We're going to go weigh it. Yep. Okay, I'll be
Yes,
right back.
awesome.
Y'all keep talking if you want, okay? Hang that out. I'll be right back.
We were able to give her first bath, or not bath, but like a wipe down in her isolette. Yeah, we've been very blessed. We still haven't been able to hold her, which I anticipated, and as long as she's on the oscillator, we won't be able to hold her. But once she moves down to the ventilator, we might be able to, because the lines that were initially put in her umbilical cord area are gone. She now has a PICC line in her arm. So yeah, so this is the journey we're walking. I was thinking I was going to do a video and like reveal her name, and I'm just like, what am I thinking? Maybe I'll do that later, but right now, her name is Jubilee Naleen, and that literally means a celebration of surrender, which we kind of are laughing because we had determined this was her name before any of this happened. Like as soon as we knew it was a girl, like I had this name in my heart before we even knew it was a girl. And we had no idea how much we'd be walking that out. So our little girl, Jubilee Naleen, our little micro preemie, yeah, she's a fighter, she's feisty. And if you are praying people, pray for her strength, pray for wisdom for us, pray for wisdom and direction for her doctors. If you are praying people, the main things we're praying for right now are her lungs and their development, as well as her other internal organs, specifically her kidneys, to be functioning like they need to, and that she would just continue to grow and rest, and that she'd be protected against infection, because those are some of the biggest things right now, biggest challenges she's facing. So sorry this is a long video, but that is the update. And let me know if you have questions. If you're a mom who's had a NICU baby, or you have a baby in the NICU, let me know below. I'd love to be able to pray for you and your baby by name. When I'm sitting in the NICU with Jubilee, I will pray for other babies around there and other moms and dads that I see and meet, or even ones I don't know. So I'd love to be able to do that for you as well. And if you have any questions about like what it is to have a baby in the NICU, what it is to have a preemie, anything like that, please let me know, and I will eventually get back to you. If I don't get back to you right away, just know it's because we're balancing this whole life NICU thing. We're staying with my parents currently because they're closer to the hospital than we are, and they're about 30 minutes away. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and if you're still watching, awesome. And yeah, check in. I, at this point, would really recommend hitting the subscribe and the bell, because I can't promise I'll have videos up every Tuesday, but I do want to keep you updated on what's going on. So if you want to follow our journey with Jubilee, please feel free to do that. Or you can also follow me on Instagram at Mama Wears Many Hats, or at Fergal Rock. I'll link both those below. And then I'm actually going to be starting a Facebook group for people who want to keep updated with her. We've been updating in general on Facebook, but I'm going to, I think, be starting a group. And so once I do that, I'll update the description below, and you can feel free to come join and follow along in our journey. So that's it. I love you all, and I hope to have good news for you in the next update. All right, bye, mamas.
Hi, baby.
That was a good diaper change, Juju.
Brought you a handful. Here, now I'm sure.
She's right there.
Brought you a handful.
Just remember not to rub, like just gentle pressure.
Juju.
Good girl, baby. Done so good.
Well, now she's kind of like, has her hands, she's holding it like a machine gun. Hey, Juju, it's Daddy. Up. You're raising
Sorry.
that elbow. Look. I'm going to extend that elbow. Interesting. Well, right now she has one hand buried underneath.
That's
One hand on
right.
top, so yeah. So I'm not.
We can move so you can.
Can't wait. But flinch. She actually seems pretty calm and at peace, which I think that's pretty. Maybe I can like. I mean, I don't think I could really cup. She's not really being her feisty self right now. She's totally fine.
You got this, girl.
It's the first time I'm seeing like her mouth open as she sleeps. Normally it's her lips are sealed.